Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pinus Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I am here in the Xtreme Studios with RDV from the Great Midwest. Tonight, we're going to be continuing our continuing coverage of Landman, Season 2, Episode 4. RDV, I got to ask you, I think you sent a picture out on Twitter. You got snow and ice up there or whatever like that. It's like 65 degrees here right
Oh,
now.
we got snow, ice, and sleeting right now. Freezing mix, rain. Yeah, it's wonderful. It is great up here in the Midwest.
You're telling me this is the most wonderful time of the year?
It's always the most wonderful time of the year when you live anywhere but down near the border.
Well, speaking of borders, here in Landman, episode 4 here in season 2, I know that you and I have talked about how much we really enjoy the show, how it's definitely different than, say, Tulsa King, which you've also reviewed. I'm going to be completely honest with you as I'm going to give you my initial thoughts, and this might shock you, it may not. This episode, we knew walking into it was going to be very somber, and I don't know if dark's the right word, but
Yeah.
because we know there's a major funeral going on, right? We talked about B and C level characters and dynamics and plot points and things that pop us and don't and all that. But ultimately, it's all about Billy Bob Thornton's character and how awesome he is in this. Just phenomenal. But
yeah,
this is by far probably the most individually worst episode of the 2 seasons of every episode I've seen so far.
really.
It is, and I'm going to tell you, there's some tremendously powerful, well done things in here, and there's some stuff in here that's absolutely insulting and really pissed me off watching the middle of it. And we're going to get to those as we go through some of the scenes. But I will sit there and say this: I'm frustrated because there's too much put in here, and even though it's an hour-long episode that flows really well, a lot of what I'm going to bitch and complain about is in terms of executing this episode. It's supposed to be about a funeral, and they try to dump 50 million things in here too. I did not like a lot in this episode, and some of it I thought was actually well done. I'm curious to think what your initial take on this episode is going to be.
Well, I actually found it intriguing that this was most likely a lot of the women having more speaking parts, more sensitive, because it was a very sensitive subject. Billy Bob Thornton getting over, he's trying to move past his trauma, move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to go to his funeral, and pretty much he really doesn't want to be there. He hates his dad because his dad abandoned him with his mom, and we finally get the story later on. But this really felt like a Howard Hawks. Do you remember who that director is? The Big Sleep?
Absolutely.
The one who was very for strong women. And this episode had a lot of strong, or just basically very supporting women in here. Whether
I understand what you're saying.
Whether it's Ainsley or it's Angela, I think her name is. And then like I said, like you also had Demi Moore's character in here too. They really went forward with this, even with the what's his name Ariana, even her too, her character, like you saw they focused not only on took a summer only this, but also they put almost like a moral aspect to the episode. And I like that because having Sam Elliott around, his character very much, he knows he messed up. He wants a relationship with his son, but he doesn't feel he deserves it. It's not till the inkling of of Angela talking to him and saying like, hey, it's like, we need to do this. And then she also sits down with Billy Bob Thornton. Like you need to move past this because and nobody really knew what the reason was. We just know that he felt like he left his parents, behind, and he felt abandoned by his dad. So we start off, before we get that, I want to start off because it does start off very, very heavily themed with funeral stuff or saying goodbye to loved ones.
Let's go with the very first scene, if you remember what that is. It's very short, and they revisit at the end.
Yes. With Montgomery Edward Miller, they shows the guys, basically she's pulling up in her car. The guys putting the tombstone on, and you see how this finally goes boom, and that's pretty much like a final nail in the coffin. It's a reminder that he's dead, and if they haven't really focused, they'll remind you now that she's still grieving, and everyone in this episode is grieving, but they're also at the end of this episode. I love how it goes from a mourning to a happier pastures, I could say, for characters.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you mentioned before too that Demi Moore earlier on
Yeah.
did a really great job in some of her scenes, and I totally agree. I'm neither hot nor cold when it comes to Demi Moore. I did like her in some movies in the '90s where she played,
She's
like in
not
that
shoved
Michael
down your
Douglas
throat.
movie where she was like the
Yeah.
Predator and stuff like that. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
she's just a natural fit for being kind of strong. And in here, I think she does it in a classic way where she's now trying to figure out things and all that too. She's carrying her grief the way most people do, and it's sincere, and she does a great acting job here.
Yeah.
The very first scene that we see, which has made me start the episode off not liking it, is the fact that we see this guy. We got some music playing, right? And the guy's got this hose attached to the back of his truck, and he's sitting there at night.
Oh, okay.
And it's suicide. It's he's getting the exhaust going into his car, right? And this driver's running and sees him at the last minute, can't quite get out of the way, and kills him. So to me,
that scene though you're talking
it's
about,
completely. It'll be important later, I'm sure.
You read it wrong.
But for this episode, it takes you immediately to, wow, a brand new plot development. And to me, that's 100% distracting from what's going on, because they go from that and say, well, we're going to introduce it in this episode. And I get it. But personally, I just didn't like it. I thought it set the wrong tone.
The guy did not commit suicide. He was murdered. There was a hose going into it. There was a hose going into that. Because, remember, everything's about Andy Garcia's character getting, having to deal with Tommy. And Tommy doesn't want to deal with them. So he's going to have to nudge him.
I don't disagree with you. It's presented as suicide.
Is it suicide?
And they don't have an actual answer yet, do they?
In the middle of nowhere at one of their sites, and their truck hits it, and it causes only there. If it was a random act of suicide, it wouldn't be back by their thing. It would be somewhere else. But the fact it's on their property, caused them problems, makes me believe that it's got to be not cartel related, but it is related to Andy Garcia, who doesn't like being, insulted. And he wants Tommy to work with him. So
I'm not suggesting anything that you're saying is incorrect. I actually think it is correct. I think it's right. I think that's what's going to be the case. But the fact that they're presenting it means us as a viewer, we're having to sit there and go, oh, look at this development. Whatever happened here, we're going to have to find out what the truth is during the investigation. But you're right.
It's starting out the episode with a chain of events that's going to happen through this episode. That's going to have cause more problems for Tommy.
And that's 100% part of some of the reasons why I don't like this episode as we go through some of these slides here and all that, because there was too much of the stuff in here that's driving the narrative forward with these that are new developments. And some of them I think work, some of them I think don't, and I'll mention those. But to me, this episode, knowing from what we were building towards, was supposed to be 100% about the funeral. When they do the funeral stuff, I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's 100% A+.
I did not watch trailers, so that I did not get that impression it was all about the funeral.
Well, we'll get to that as we go on here.
Because the title's called Dancing Rainbows. So it's like, it threw me all the way off. But I knowing this, with my conspiracy hat, there's a lot of things happening as new characters being introduced. Just like, if you watched Yellowstone, the same thing. Taylor Sheridan has a habit of throwing random characters in the show, in the middle of a show, this revolving door, but they all have purpose. And speaking of that, we'll get to that part though. But
sure.
At the funeral now,
yes, we will.
Yes, we'll. So we see. Before we get to the scene here though, Ariana comes home. She sees Cooper sleeping up against a garage. She wakes him up, and they kind of have like a little bit of argument. But she invites him in, and he says, "Well, we need the code for you." He's like, "Well, my grandmother died." He's like, "Oh," and so basically she has a change of heart and decides she wants to go with them. It's a 7-hour drive to little Canada, Texas, or where they're at, down there, and so she drives with him, and and they're the first ones to get there at this, at the nursing home. Meanwhile, Tommy is stuck with his wife, his daughter, Dale, and Nathan, and they're all trapped in this as SUV, and for a 7-hour drive. And Tommy's just like, "Kill me now." because they lose radio reception or cell phone reception. So she's like, I'm gonna put some music. Which one do you want? And he's like, and Nathan is just like watching the two, like it's like Al and Peg Bundy fighting in the front seat, and he starts laughing, and then she gets his nuts, gets on his case. Ainsley says like, it's better just just don't explain anything. Because you're like, what? Because he was gonna make a joke and stuff. She's like, even the daughter got involved. He's like, yeah, you fucked up. Don't say anything else. So they're stuck driving, but yeah, Coop and Ariana basically show up first. I love this scene here. They're basically not at the funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
When I love because everyone's coming at the far corner over there. We even have his Samuel Elliott's basically like his his nurse or male nurse, the one that helps him out, wheelchair
caretaker.
Yeah, caretaker. And so they sit down, and and I love this conversation between Ariana and Coop and Sam Elliott's character. And he noticed that it's like he's like they're sitting not next to each other, they're sitting apart. And he's like, well, what's going on? He's like, well, obviously you're an idiot. No woman would basically choose, he politely says like, no, it's like that's some move there to basically decide you're going to sit in a car with someone who's you're not together with for 5 hours. It means that, he basically says to Coop, it's like, it's like, hey, she still likes you and she's going to change the rules on you no matter what, but you're going to keep trying to please her. You're going to ask her questions, all this stuff, and that's just the way the marriage or relationships work, and you'll work through it. Because when Coop and her, she's so mad at Coop because
she dumped him already.
She jumped him, and then she was mad because he didn't come back. She's like, well, you didn't fight for me. He's like, well, I had games and stuff. So, so they have a little conversation, and then the rest of the whole cast comes. And I love these scenes because I always wonder how much behind the scenes of blooper reels they're not having fun because they're all in the same room. And because when you film a show, a lot of the scenes, those actors aren't on set that day.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that had been fun, just having, and so everyone's there. And then Tommy's like, well, let's get this fucking thing over. We're not here to, reminisce about my mother. There's no emotion whatsoever. And
we've definitely gotten the feel of that, right? I mean, through the first season and a half here.
Yeah.
And so what I do like is that they're not afraid to go through the grieving.
Yes.
And then you find out what's going on, because that's kind of what happens with funerals. Anybody that's experienced it, things come up, people have different perspectives, they remember things differently. But at the end of the day, generally speaking, you try to remember the good and leave the bad alone and all that. But sometimes big events, influence how you're going to be. And we're going to get that. The whole setup here with Cooper and Ariana, I understand that she came into a lot of money and he helped her out with that. She's trying to prove to herself that she is going to work at the cafe, despite the fact that she's extremely hot and people are going to, be, sexually suggestive comments to her and all this kind of stuff. And just be jerks. Things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's a bad actress. I think their relationship was the one I'm the most interested in because they're young and are growing up. And I think the kid's really sincere. I absolutely 100% had a complete heel turn on Ariana here because the way she talked to him and all that, and this guy, she
didn't discriminate on him.
I agree she was not historical in this and that, but to me it was so insulting, it was so demeaning. She's speaking to him not in the place of, in my opinion, of sincerity, of honesty. It's, oh, you didn't fight for me, you're supposed to know that. No, he's not supposed to know that. More than anybody that you're still grieving over your ex. This guy's a good guy, you know that he is, and now you're going to bitch at him for not doing what you think is the right thing. And she says even worse things later on, in my opinion. This totally soured me on the complete whole setup and destroyed everything that they've accumulated in the first year and a half because of these couple of scenes.
Complete opposite for me, because she explained it's like what she doesn't want to uproot her life. Her whole life's there, and she kind of felt like he was rushing things, and she doesn't want to leave her house. Now she should have said that to him instead of expecting him to know that. But then also Coop, also said like she's just like
her fault.
Yeah. I think it's both. It's just young love.
Well, here's the thing: she got rid of him.
She got nervous.
So he was fine. He's like, I'll see you. Now she's pissed because she's not fighting for him. It's like, you know what? That's bullshit manipulation 101. That's not her sitting going, I've thought about it and I'm sorry that I kicked you out of the house, but this is what's important to me. It just feels like it's going so fast. If they had just phrased it or did it in a different way, it would have, I think, had the effect that you're describing that you saw, right? But in absolutely no way. I'm sitting here going, man, talk about a boner killer. Talk about this guy looking at her going, I helped you through all your hard times. I helped you with all that. I didn't ask for anything in return. And now you're treating him like this. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I hope he gets some balls because she does not respect him at all.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't say she doesn't respect him. As I said, I think they both are. She's still grieving. She's trying to, and she's confused what she wants.
And he's the rebound guy.
And he's a guy, and he's an idiot. He's kind, but he's an idiot.
He's not an idiot. He ignorant. There's a difference. Idiot. He's just plain.
There's no difference.
This guy is anything but stupid. He's listened to her, and he's taking her at face value. Yeah, hey, you're kind of upset with me. You don't want me around. I don't need to stay. I'm not going to sit here and cry and act like a little bitch and stay. I'm gone. Now he's not doing like
he is an idiot. Right? You know why? Because he decided he wants to still go back with her, even before they make up in this episode.
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. He's demonstrated more at his young age and inexperienced level. He's accomplished more.
You can be smart at some things, but you can be stupid at other things. And that's clearly what Cooper is. And that's clearly what she is too.
Ignorant is just not knowing. It's not stupidity. Completely different mindset.
It's common sense. They both lack common sense. So much
common sense that when she's dead and is set up for life, that she feels like she still has to work. She doesn't bother explaining anything to this guy at all. That's done everything to set up her in position for the rest of her life. She's going to be 100% okay. Makes absolutely no sense at all. It's a completely dumb writing.
And here's the thing: she can be set for life, but there's some people who just like working. They want, they don't.
She clearly doesn't.
Well, she doesn't like. No, she does like working.
No,
obviously,
she was miserable her entire time there.
Look at her and then look at him. That's why he puts up with that. Exactly, Breen. Thank you very much.
Smoking hot. I agree, but that's not the point.
That is the point. Anyway, we're gonna agree. We're gonna agree to disagree on that. Otherwise, we here talking about this for the next 30 minutes. But
I'll just sit there and say her stuff was very, very bad until we get to hot lawyer stuff. But that's a whole other part. So keep us going, sir.
I'll just say this. I think they are kind of toxic together, but in the end, they're both young. They both need to not be, more understanding of the other one. Because Cooper, when he got the money, he just didn't ask her. He just kind of he was so wrapped up in things, and didn't ask her what she wanted. Now, normally, someone would have said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna pay for me for sweet too," But she was not raised that way. Obviously, I don't know. Mm-hmm. She was independent too. I don't know. It's whatever. It's
to put the spicy Latina thing or not, because that's not how she was presented. No. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she's been a little spicy Latina in the first season with the other. Yeah. And she girl bossed the testosterone right out of him. Yes, a long time ago.
Well, you know what? You were talking, before we segued into that, because that really frustrated me about how everybody got together. What I did like about her, however, is she does take a sincere interest in the family dynamic, because she goes a little bit later at the dinner, "Hey, excuse me, I just have to ask, why is nobody talking about her?
About the month? Why is nobody talking about the grandmother who passed away?" And so, finally, everyone's like, "Oh crap! You're asking that?" And normally when people don't do that but this is Taylor Sheridan show, because it's a melodrama, whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. It had to add more to the show, and that's where we get the Dancing Rainbow story. It's kind of like that too, a little bit after this. So basically, Tommy Jr. tells her, "Well, you want a story? Okay, a story. 14 years old, come home from school, find my mom naked and face down in the tub. I call 911, and they walk me through CPR. As I'm breathing her air, she spits the water in my face, and then she takes her foot, kicks me in the nose, then goes and gets another glass of wine."
Yeah.
And then my dad, never being there, he was gone to some camp. I just said, "I'm done with this," But I think it's after he storms out to go outside to get air. This is when we get the story, and this is good to hear about what really happened. Is the fact that his I think
the second level part of it, yeah.
as far as his sister dying, was that Tommy bringing up later? Or was it now? I can't remember. It's kind of rolled together. But anyway, we do learn in this episode that Tommy's had a sister, baby sister, who died. And they don't know what if it was SIDS or whatever.
It was SIDS.
Yeah. And this is where he's talking to his daughter later on because she's crying, and she's like, he comes home and he's like, why are you crying? He's like, well, it's like your own mom. It's like, how could you do that? You saved her life, and then she's so mean to you and stuff. It's like, and I love because
no, that's the best scene in the whole show.
The best scene, yeah, where he grabs her hand and he's like, baby girl, you have the biggest heart I ever know. You're crying over someone else's fault. It has nothing entirely to do with you. Old news. And I love Tommy's moments of this. This is another thing. It's another example of the girls. Ainsley coming to his Tommy's helping him out, in this episode. So I love this moment, but going to go back to the diner scene. So basically, Tommy's dad tells the story after Tommy's Junior kind of walks out, and he says Tommy only saw the bad parts of his mom, and he says about how she basically before the drugs got a hold of him. There was one time we were driving down this road, it was a hot summer day, whatever, and sprinklers, and he ends up she sees like a rainbow through the sprinklers, and she runs out and is running. She's like, oh, and she's dancing and stuff, enjoying. He said, that one moment, I stayed with my wife, hoping that I would see more rainbows in her, but it never came, and she died, and stuff. And I wasn't there for Tommy and stuff. So all that's going on. They talk about that, and then we get this another cool scene with Tommy's out there, and he's out there, and I love these scenes, like the close up, everyone walking to you from behind. So I always love this stuff, and she basically kind of talks to him, and they kind of
say goodbye to him.
Yeah, you go say goodbye to your dad.
I said goodbye to him years ago.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing there, and
she's right though.
She's right though, and so. Well, that's going on. We have two other things going on. Stories. These are little side stories. Well, we have Rebecca ends up meeting this guy. I forget what his name is.
I've got his name, but let's pause for a moment so I can comment on what you just mentioned here with their interaction, because I think it's some of the best stuff in the show. Some of the best stuff we've seen. Right. The whole they let the scenes play out. Right. They're not overdone or whatever. There's a certain cynicism with them where you go, okay, I understand that when his mom. A drunk, kicked him and he got another drink. Okay, that's bad enough, right? So he packed his shit and left, right? Makes sense. We get it. Of course, there's more to it because he makes the comment when they're all sitting there having the meal afterwards about it, where he goes, "Yeah, and this man here was too afraid to leave her." You know, and that is that's him as a hurt little boy getting out 50 years of grief and all that. And Sam Elliott's looking at it, trying, and he says it too. He literally says something along the effects, almost verbatim here of. It's not excuse, son, but it's an explanation. Because you're right. You didn't see the good parts of her. I did. I had to live with that. I went and I hid on oil rigs for 50 years, and all I did was send her checks.
Yep.
So the point is you mentioned this before a few times. I haven't used it that much as an expression, but it's certainly valid here, I would say, is that you've got the sins of the father, the older couple, them, versus this current couple that we're seeing, trying to make it right, and what the future can be with Ariana and the smart one, right? So we're all seeing them at their three different stages in life. And this is a theme that a lot of people don't seem to get in certain stories when they write that. Everything else is a side story. I agree with you. But this is the heart and matter of this entire show.
And this is also you see outside the dinner. They have not you see Sam Elliott whisper something into Ariana's ear, and then she walks to the SUV, and then he whispers something in Cooper's ear, basically telling me hey, life's short.
He's a good man. Mistakes. I'm sure he said something like that. Yeah. I don't know because you can't hear it. That's the
point of it. Yeah, you're just supposed to make your own interpretations for it. Meanwhile, we have other two stories going on. We have Rebecca, who is going to get on this plane and the jet, and it's a bunch of guys on there. basically kind of like not very chivalrous
Field
guys.
workers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, for
The lesser people that she can't stand being around. She has such
yes,
disdain for them.
yes. And I'm trying to remember what this guy's name is. Do you remember what
His name was, I got the name for it. I got it written down here because it's a long name. So I'm going to try to say it correctly in English because there's a little bit of Britishiness to it or whatever. It's 100% completely the most inauthentic, gayish kind of prissy boy.
Come on,
trash
just give me
guy
the name.
that should not have ever be on any show related to Tyler Sheridan.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it makes no sense whatsoever why she's with him.
I'll
That
go
was
look at
his
myself.
first name.
I was expecting a real answer to you. Of course, I get a Rob answer.
That's right. That's a legitimate answer because this is by far the most unbelievable thing I've seen in television in years. This guy.
Sure, unbelievable. But like I said, I'm looking through everything through a conspiracy lens. All right.
Give it to me. This might be entertaining. I'm serious. Give it to me.
All right. And let me grab his name real quickly, and then we can talk about him more. But so this guy is Charlie, like Guy Burnet. Charlie is the guy I was talking before that basically he's a new character to Taylor Sheridan. Just happened to randomly throw in. But like I said, Taylor Sheridan throws in characters for a reason.
Correct.
And with Charlie being in there, he's happy to be one of the guys. He works on things, and then we found out that she has this basically unstoppable woman has a fear of flying, and she's basically no one will give her a seat except for she sits on next to Charlie, who's basically nice to her. He's got his little like thermos. He's got some vodka, watermelon, and syrup, whatever.
Can I ask you about that seriously? Because I'm so enraged right now. I'm being serious here because honestly, I'm not really a drinker. I used to love scotch and tequila. Every once in a while, I might have one, but I'm not really a drinker. I understand some guys like vodka. I know some old school brothers that really like it and all that too, and they usually have neat or with a soda or something. Does anybody, I'm dead fucking serious. I swear to God, I'm asking this genuinely, RDV. Does any straight male have vodka and watermelon juice? I'm dead fucking serious, bro.
I don't know because I don't
an appletini.
I don't go to bars. I don't pay attention to what people are drinking. So like I said,
we're stretching it here.
I drink beer.
Gotcha.
But anyway, let's not psychoanalyze this too much. Let's just basically, it's Rebecca basically meets this guy Charlie on this plane here. Charlie introduced himself. First she's kind of like cold-hearted to him and she but then he's like, here you want, because there's turbulence, so she has some of his alcohol, and because there's high winds, they have to do something which is called a standing takeoff, or something like that. Which basically you basically have a short runway, and he's talking her through this, trying to calm her down, but does a bad job of it. So, and they're on, and it's the thing I really like. This would scare the shit out of me. Nothing in this plane is because it's a private jet. Nothing is fucking tied down. It's flying around everything when they take off. So, and I'm just thinking like, this would not be allowed. But then in the end, it is maybe it is because people pay enough money. It's just
it's a small plane. It's all regulated. That's legit takeoff.
Yeah. No, but I mean, as far as all the beverages flying and taking off, it's nothing secure.
That's
because that can hit a window or whatever or injure someone. A lot of lawsuits. Anyway, so they take off, and then she's on the plane, and she's kind of like freaking out, and they would keep going back to him and her throughout the episode. It's kind of like I said, they would get you really like not enough where it ruined the episode for me, but basically at the end of this episode, she's drunk and then she wakes up and then she hooked up with them and she's kind of freaking out about it. This guy is very like Russell Brandy, kind of smooth talker.
Russell Brand is more like Russell Crowe in terms of godliness compared to this crap dude.
What do you mean? Forgetting Sir Marshall? Russell Brand came off kind of like douchey.
This guy's weak sauce, bro.
This came off as like a Russell Brand 2000s douchebag. But he was very kind to her and stuff, so she doesn't know what's going on. And I'm thinking this guy's a plant.
You think so?
I think so.
You really do?
Not working for Andy Garcia, but it might be for one of the other insurance people.
You don't just think he's just a random. Look, I'm making fun of it because this was absolutely atrocious to me, and on top of the Ariana stuff, I thought this was horrible. But you legitimately think this just is an average dude that just happened to have a nice semi-British accent and a mullet?
This is like the 2000s Antonio Banderas,
no, please don't insult Antonio.
I'm sorry, but that's wait. He like said came off and all like, here, you want to try my my special soaps? for relaxation and all stuff, yeah. But anyway, go. So they hook up. She's kind of confused about this, but I think there's more to this guy than it is, because Taylor Sheridan does not throw random characters in there. They all have a purpose.
You are correct, sir.
The other thing that's going on here too is that Demi Moore decides that she's going to list the mansion, and she's out of money, so she's freaking out. So she goes.
She's taking the advice of cashing out.
And then she's going to also, because she needs it for that rig, offshore oil rig, she needs the money. So she goes to Andy Garcia, asking for money. And here's the thing about Andy Garcia. This shocked me, because Andy Garcia is really cool. I would have thought he would have went for this, but instead he turns it down. And she's like, "What? Because a woman? No, because I'd rather talk to Tommy, because Tommy's a hawk. I'm a snake, and hawks also eat snakes, as far as negotiations, But he said, like, I will take. He basically said, I will help you out, but have Tommy for the negotiations, because she needs about like $350 million.
Yeah.
But overall,
that scene there.
Yeah.
Couple observations. One, his wife's incredible. Their relationship appears, from what we've seen the few times socially, to be the ideal situation you have.
Normal, yes.
Right.
Yes.
We'll see.
Is it all up front?
I don't have a problem with her going for him for long. It makes sense. It seems like a moment of weakness to me, though. But I feel that she's doing it because she's made a decision that seems to be the right one, but she's going about it wrong. Okay, that happens, especially when you're, you're grieving, right? You're emotionally challenged.
Last episode, right? she broke down, and he said she's still going through there. She's now she's like, I have no money. Now she realized the whole hardship. Why Monty had such a bad heart? Because they had no money.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Well, totally on board with what I'm seeing here. I love the meeting. But what I'm really talking about here that makes it so good is I want to talk about Andy Garcia for a minute, because I think he knows right off the bat that sales is about relationships. It's not about forcing people to do anything. It's called high probability prospecting. The way this is written in such a way is that he's being real with them, upfront, honest. That's the way to form real relationships. Whether you like somebody or not, you can have a mutual respect. I think that's been A+ level writing of his character. And I think he, as a character, automatically knows that no matter what, even this seemed like a surprise to him, and he's going to help her out, he generally wants to. I'm not saying he's evil. I'm not saying this at all, right? But what I'm saying is I think he knows for this to happen, he's going to have to go through him. And that's the real battle. So that's why he politely declines her down, because that gives him more gravitas. Now, here's the point I'm going with Andy Garcia. He's done more, and I'm going to say this episode and last episode, let's say 10 minutes of screen time we've seen, right? He has done more, the way he looks, the way he acts, the way he treats his wife, the way he treats everybody else, the way he's yelling at Tommy, the way he's in his office, in 10 minutes in several episodes total, than we've gotten in over 3 years of the bullshit stuff that pissed me off about Tulsa King, which is more of a campy show. Andy Garcia feels like 100% the threat. Just the way he is. He's not smiling like he's full of shit, popping himself right like that. He is a confident man, middle-aged, that's successful, and he is a dangerous motherfucker. And I'm like, God damn it, Andy Garcia is crushing here in the way that all these other stupid people that are in these other shows have not done. It is such a standout performance by him. It's incredible, really.
It is. And going back to my original point, as far as Andy Garcia's character, Gelano or
Gelato, he's not ice cream. Byproduct, sir. What is that?
Was it Gelano? What I can't remember what his name is in this role, but he basically he said he deals with the cartel stuff. He knows about the gas thing, or I don't think he might. I don't know if he mentioned it last, because that was happening while he was with Tommy, but when Tommy talked about it, he knows about the offshore the rig and the pickle there, and he said, I can help you out with that and stuff. Tommy's like, no, I'm not gonna deal with you. And he really wants to work with Tommy. He wants Tommy to be on board with them, because it's good, business, doesn't want to be enemies. And so with that guy, I think he was murdered, cartel style, because obviously this guy is pulled with cartel. Make it look like a guy committed suicide randomly in front of one of their drills, their pump stations, and cause them. And not only that, because now they have to pay out another salary for the guy who died, the driver, said life insurance. So, and he knows that they don't have any money. That's why they were asking. Remember, last episode, where's my fucking money? He knows they're desperate. This was all a ploy to put more pressure on her until where she's going to ask. And
he's playing the long game, bro.
Yes, he is playing the long game.
He's going to end up in charge, and I think they're going to have to rely somehow on these smaller, higher producing wells to produce the revenue.
Yes. So not only that, to put more strain on her and Tommy, maybe like you said, but because Tommy's like,
that's a good, interesting thought.
Yeah. So anyway, so he said he's gonna make Tommy's life miserable until Tommy agrees to work with him. That's what I think. Getting back to Tommy though, after the funeral, that's out, so they go after the diner scene, they go home, and he has a scene with his daughter, and she kind of like comforts herself, he goes upstairs. He's got Ali Larter's character, what's her name as Angela, and she starts telling him, he's like, we have issues to work through. He's like, what? He's like, this ring, we're not married for starts, I'm, if we have this to be serious, I want a new ring. He's like, well, fuck, give me that ring back and I'll go pawn it for another one. Or something like that.
But she's been saying this for a little while, and she's very sincere about not just being a trophy wife.
Yes.
People think she's kind of, vape it or whatever like that. And I don't think that's the case, I just don't.
She says, like, now she understands why their marriage was so fucked up, because Tommy was so fucked up with his parents. Mm-hmm. Because I don't, because Tommy seems like a guy who doesn't talk about things.
Like typical men.
Yes. So now she knows about it. She says, like, well, it's like, you need to get your shit together. It's like, it's like, talk to your father before it's, because before it's too fucking late, He made a mistake. He said, like, she gives him some line about, it's like, in order to be a father, you have to fix your shit with your own father first. And he's like, well, I already did my father part. And he's like, no, but it's like, but she's like, you never really, let yourself heal and stuff. And just, yeah. So, and she's like, well, you're going to fucking hit me. He's like, why? And he's like, God damn it. Because she closed the door. He's like, why close the door? He said, your dad's going to live with us, pretty much implying that. And at the last scene, you see him with this and he sits down with his dad at the nursing home. His dad's watching the sunset. He pulls up the lawn chair, and then he just sits down next to his dad. I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like, I love the cameras here, this scene right here.
Natural light, outdoors, no CGI.
Yep.
And let actors act.
And he basically says, like, it's like, Dad, it's like, not everybody gets second chances. It's like, he's like, well, I ain't gonna move on some nursing home. He's like, no, you're gonna live with us. You're going to die in some fucking, and at the end, after they get up and the sun goes down and he pushes Dad. You see in the bottom right corner photo there, and he's just pushing. It's just like, shit, man. Like, it ended with a good note. We have two happy couples now. One's a new couple, and it seems like all their relationships are kind of like a new relationship, but also Cooper's relationship is being fixed. His dad's relationship is going to be fixed, and not only his dad's relationship with Angela, but Tommy with the Tommy Senior. It seems like there's a lot of relationships that are being mended together and stuff.
Well, they always say that, it takes the lightning bolt in your life to change things for better, for worse, right? Whether it's big money or death in the family or a major loss, right? So I think this episode should have focused on that more. I love the fact that you're pointing out a lot of the cinematography here in the end, because I know I nerd out sometimes on the way shots are, but you cannot replace saying, okay, we're going to have, we got to film here between 5 and 5:30 to capture all this here and all that, because that scene, that picture that you've got there in the corner is just beautiful. And that adds to your believability watching it, even though it's a television show intellectually, but emotionally your brain processes it as real. It has depth, it has shadow, it has these things that you don't get in CGI based movies, that your brain knows, wow, that's really clear, but it doesn't look real. And the more real it can look, the more I think it affects you emotionally. And they did it well, because it's hard, I think, to navigate a very tough and sensitive thing without some bitterness and cynicism. I know you have some lighthearted moments to kind of maybe try to give yourself a break to breathe on it. And I get that's what Rebecca's thing to do with this screwball thing, how she got involved. It's totally against type and all that. That's just distracting.
It is distracting, but like I said,
go ahead.
I'll just say, like I said, it is distracting, but I said everything on here has a reason why it's
I
done.
understand. I just
I don't
don't
think
agree with the
I don't
execution
think
of
it's a herring. I think I honestly I love they only had a few scenes in here and it didn't really distract me. It just means like, okay, we already know something's going on. So and another accident happened, and we see Demi Moore talking to Andy Garcia, and then all of a sudden she gets a random encounter all in one episode. I smell some conspiracy, bro.
Yeah, and you're right to think that. And I just the relationship thing I think's obviously very obvious, but I'm saying it
Yeah.
because we haven't really mentioned it like that. But I think, like for example, it was Ariana and Cooper
Mm-hmm.
when they get back from their drive, and she says, you won't want to come in, and because he's just being polite,
Yeah.
he's not being a pussy hound, right? And then she makes the smart ass comment of like, well, I didn't ask you to sleep with me. I just asked you to come in. Yeah, because no guy's gonna marry a woman that says, hey, come in here and fuck me, So
Yeah.
I think she's a little full of herself.
She is.
I think she's supposed to be confident because she goes and she has the speech with him, like, and it started off okay, but then I think it got even worse than the one before, where she's like, you know, after seeing with your family, I understand how you are the way you are and this and that. Instead of like appreciating it, to use what Eric mentioned in the chat here, the term which I normally don't use, she kind of girl bossed her way there too, but kind of she's saying, I don't want to move, I don't want this and that, just because that. And he has a great line. He goes, I'm sorry I went and fought a bunch of wells that made a lot of money, because he's not being a smart ass, but
No.
it's just, you're right. I say ignorant, not
And I
idiotic.
think
He wants to be with
she
her,
was the fault. She was the fault for this too. I do.
but she doesn't apologize. And what makes it
No.
worse is she sits there and says to him, so you just need to understand that this cannot change and blah, 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 blah. And when you're wrong and I catch you up, you're supposed to go figure out why and come back in there. Fuck you. I'm the man. I figured out the wells. I don't need this dog. This is bullshit.
Like I said, this is the
He's
modern.
not there yet like his father is.
This is the modern relationship that people have.
Yeah. Kill her off, please.
Well, here's the thing.
She should be having an affair with the guys that ran off there doing a hog hunt or whatever like that, and have all that sulfur dioxide burn her fucking lungs out. You wouldn't hear her talking.
Here's the thing, though. Cooper is not having anything permanent with her. Doesn't have a kid. So nothing can hold him back. So if he ever decides to grow a backbone, maybe he will. Maybe he will get sick of it, and then maybe she'll change her ways, and maybe she realizes, hey, I'm being unreasonable. But but I want to bring up, the gas leak last episode. Dale is and Mufasa Ali, what the name is? I forgot the guy's name is, but he's the guy in charge of the crew. The guys go visit the younger new crew, the new Boot, the new rookie guy there. And he just woke up, and they said, well, you might want to contact his family. Like, why? He's like, well, all the inhalation of the stuff, he's got swelling in the eyes. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be able, it's a long game run here. We don't know if he's going to be able to see or not. And you get this really tragic, emotional scene that goes to talk to him. He's like, hey, wait. And the nurse is changing his pad on his eyes. Wait, why can't I see anything? And they're all trying to calm him down. And he's freaking out. He's like, I need to see. I need to work. I can't work if I can't see, because I got mouths to feed and stuff. He's freaking out. And this is one of the other tragedies of the thing, is about working at the pit or the patch. Sometimes you die because, or you live and you can't work. It's like It is a hellhole place, and only a few that are smart, like Tommy says, get out of it and they'll leave it behind.
Have an end game. Begin with the end in mind. Yep.
Yeah. So. Man, it was just...
I just thought that reminded me of the old Alice in Chains video. The man in the box, or the eyes sewn shut. Because it's horrible. This would have been a great way, I would have thought, to have started off the next episode to remind us, hey, wait a minute. Let's get back to the problems at hand here. Because this episode to me should have been more of just focusing on the family units, the key relationships, and all that. And they did do it. I'm not going to lie to you, RDV, but I just think the whole Ariana thing and Rebecca thing is absolute dog shit. You take the reason why the lawyer stuff is bad is not because she's going out and having sex and we see her pancake ass. She definitely needs to eat a sandwich. I don't care if they showed her.
It was a nice.
She needs to put some weight on, bro.
Here's the thing. We got side boob too.
For yucks, but it goes against the type of how she's been presented. So some people like say, well, you know, Robin, she's a human being too. She has needs. We have to find out what motivates her and all that. Yeah, this was not the episode for it. It really demeans the fact that she is the 100% Pit Viper. She's the only one that looks like she's got the capability of going head to head with Andy Garcia and maybe, you know, winning a round or two in the battle. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. We're gonna find out that he is the adopted son of Andy Garcia. or his right-hand man.
He's got really horrible hair. I don't care that he's growing the mullet because normally you get bonus points for that. So his accent is atrocious. He's got a white beater with a really custom leather jacket on. This is honestly straight trash. I'm still mad looking at that picture.
He might just be a con artist. We don't know.
Working in the fields with those manicured hands. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not like it was. I said like it was back in the day, like of the 80s and 90s. I said dating is changed now, and I'm not again now. This is all Taylor Sheridan writing this, so it's written from a guy's point of view. So I mean,
I agree with your takes in all seriousness about how it's going to be a cartel related. There's no randos. It's all going to be related. We'll see what happens. Of course, we don't know that. But a long episode, I don't think there was any fluff. I don't think there was any red herrings. I agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. It's like we got a happy ending, and then we got her. Because here's the thing: we saw 2 episodes ago where she started to crack. Her armor started to have chinks in it when she goes to meet the board for the insurance people. Well, and they said, and they said like Rebecca, it's like, you know, it's not too late to join us. Take one of my cards because when that you join a sinking ship. You know, and so it's. But it was nice to see.
He's really not wrong.
Yeah, no, and remember, everyone has. See, seems like anybody attached to this business, they have issues, and obviously, we're seeing more about her now. I do like to see more of her in the gym working out and stuff. You know,
look, we're not being sexist in that regard or anything.
No,
she's a strong woman. She's very well driven. She's a type A, but they're doing it the right way. She takes her health seriously, takes her job very seriously. She's not screwing around. Yes, she uses a lot of woke stuff, but you even pointed out in last season how it was a great way to contrast the current generation of young bullshit speak that she's involved in with DEI words, where the whole thing that attracted people to here was not oil, it was not Dallas 2.0, it was not a relaunch of that stuff. Well, it was the fact that this was supposed to be the least woke written and anti-diverse shows that Tyler Sheridan created, going against Billy Bob Thornton, the way he would explain to her about, no, these windmills are a poison if you really honestly believe your bullshit, and here's why. And you're like, fuck, those are the scenes that we loved early on.
So this I'll just say this kind of reminds you of something you might be seeing randomly in Justified or in an Alec McBeal. It's like, you know, total strangers hooking up, you know, and it was a mistake, and then he's going to turn out to be something that's maybe on the opposite side, working against them, and it's going to cause friction. It maybe cause a problem where she cannot legally represent the case because she's involved.
I like that thought, RDV. Yeah. You're impressing me tonight. A conflict of interest, legally speaking.
Yes. When you're fucking the enemy.
You're fucking Lord. You know, you're supposed to keep your legs shut.
And even then, I love it because she was weirded out too. He's like, when he goes to kiss her, he's like, "Oh fuck, what did I do with this guy?" Ugh. You know, and so plus she's a lightweight. She drank a lot, and she was drinking that stuff. So.
She grabbed his hand. She did all the thing that's just against character. You know, she grabbed his hand. He's like, I think you broke it, and you gotta have to grab my. What did he say? Would he say my thigh or my knee? I'm like, no straight man would say something.
Here's the thing, though. Remember, they were to get BA on the plane. They had to dope him up. So you say against character? I think it's just something a trope we've had before. You know, there are people who
I just felt that was very horrible writing for her. I get what they're trying to do with Ariana Cooper. Now, I just frustrate how they did it, but this is the worst with her.
Here's the thing, though. If this was the Rebecca show, a CW show like Supergirl, it'd be all about her and like, oh no, what'd I do? I slept with that kid, a handsome guy. He's kind of hot, but like, oh my god. It's like I can't believe that. Like, I'm just glad it wasn't like all that.
Gender immigrant who just happens to be an 11 out of 10 steal my heart, and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I must be strong. Get the fuck out of here.
So yeah, like I said, it was a very interesting episode for me, to say the least. I said, and I think that everybody has a reason why they're in this episode. I come to realize with the first season too, there wasn't a wasted character, you know. But yeah, my question is, will we get more Miller Lite in this season, or will it just be Mikhail Ultra? You know,
I want them to work in
of
the less
course.
filling tastes great kind of thing that was a really popular beer thing. I think that was Miller Lite. I might be
Yeah.
wrong on that. Just guessing on top
Well,
of my head.
beer was like when they did light, it's supposed to be like
Less
not
filling tastes great, and then they'd like get
yeah,
into a
fat
fight at the end
free,
of the commercial.
beer. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking you're down in Texas. Where's the hams? Where's the coolers?
Yeah, because they're drinking some shitty beer.
Yeah. Well, remember they're all yuppies.
Oh God, yeah. No,
So
it was a good
where's Steel
episode.
Reserve?
I've had some people already, and I was going to ask you this. This is one of the few things I was going to try to bring up, just as an aside. I know I felt like we were a little bit different because it was like the B story, C story. Remember how Anzi and Mommy, went to go see the seniors, and they started doing a tequila thing, and that was like their little
Yes.
story thing and all
But
that.
it ties into this.
I think it does, but here's the thing. I think they're generally coming from a good place. I think that's a part of it because ultimately women usually are right when it comes to emotions, how they get it out of you and stuff like that in terms of relationships. A lot of times is what we argue and bicker about. That's why I'm so frustrated with the way they
And-
wrote the young girl and of course Rebecca here, but it does fit with their age groups. But to me, I know there's been some people personally, this is what I wanted to ask you. So I wanted to ask you that since some people have told me that they can't stand her and the daughter, that it's made the show not really watchable for them because it's just bullshit. It hasn't for me. Do you think it's made it unwatchable for you? Because to me, I think this is probably one of their best episodes as far as them being sincere and good people.
Here's the thing with the mother and daughter. At first, it was a little bit of comedy, and also it realized how fucked up Tommy's life is.
Mm-hmm.
Now back in, it's another hurdle for him to deal with. All he has to deal with Monty and stuff in the first season, and then you see character growth from Angela when she starts working with the nursing home stuff. Now is she still kind of not? I would say I think she's less selfish. I think she's still working on that
for meaning.
But yeah, but aside working Sam
Victor
Elliott
Frankl would be proud.
Yeah,
for any readers out there.
Yeah, working this in with them working this at the nursing home, and then her being the one that goes to Tommy and tells like, hey, you've got to make up with your dad because I said you see these people, they have like nothing there at the nursing home. Nobody comes to visit them. So and Tommy, his idea is just if I don't talk about it and I ignore it, it's done, And so and I love this because now we're gonna have Sam Elliott here, and I wonder how much what more Sam Elliott's gonna contribute to. And do you think Ainsley will learn some more stuff from her grandfather?
Yes, but here's the question I wanted to ask you. I've got basically two more final thoughts. One, I'll just make this as a statement, and I'll let you respond to it, and then I'll bring up one more thing.
Sure.
The Sam Elliott's character, his father.
Yeah, Tommy Sr.
He's gold. Their scenes together are gold, but here's the problem with gold. You keep wanting to mine it. You keep thinking it's there. I hate to say it because I'm a more is more kind of guy. That's my invasive Malmsteen background. I think that they can't have him giving these somber stories every episode. I think you have to take the less is more approach with him going forward because I don't think he can be an integral character. He has to be just like the hammer that hits you once every so often before he dies or whatever's going to happen. So I hope he just has some of the life wisdom stuff because that's what he excels at, especially in the role that he's in now. I don't think he should get a lot more screen time. That's going to ruin the more we see the monster, if that makes sense. How do you feel about that?
Well, you're right. Having Sam Elliott, he is the golden nugget, and more in a sense for me, he's like it's pure, it's rare, and you really it's really highly valued. And just like gold's also soft. And by doing this, you're seeing the gold. Tommy Sr. is going to help basically soften that harsh exterior that Tommy has, and it'll make Tommy kind of like more of a better man. Now, I'm not saying he's going to quit smoking cigarettes and then talking down to Angela, fight with her. No, but I mean, it'll give him more closure, and I think it'll just, like I said, just less stress him out stuff. And then his dad, like remember his dad has mining experience too. So his dad might be able to help him, as far as like those wells. He's like,
he might have that old school knowledge of stuff.
Exactly. He needs because remember they got all these wells, these new ones they bought on, especially that new one when they had the gas leak.
Well,
His dad
what they
might.
did right
His
in here
dad
is
might.
that he worked. I
Yeah.
thought he worked in the Gulf himself,
Yes.
if I remember the right.
He
that
went away
correctly,
for
right?
camp for about a year,
Mhm.
just to avoid his wife, because he couldn't deal with it. He couldn't come home, and he did pay paychecks, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't work. He didn't work, on the raft here stuff, But overall, I said he has that knowledge, and then you're gonna have Tommy and his dad versus Andy Garcia. And here's the other thing. I'm really thinking that boy up there, that that new
Pretty boy.
guy, pretty boy. I wouldn't be shocked if he is related to Andy Garcia's character.
Well, the one thing that I'll say that because of my glazing of Andy Garcia in this episode is that what I don't see between the men and the women in this show, generally speaking, is, and this will sound sexist, I don't give a shit. I don't see where the women respect how difficult the men have it with what they're doing because of the nature of their job. And I'm not saying they're disrespectful, but the one thing that makes Andy Garcia's character so believable is he has a healthy respect for knowing this person's a snake, this person's whatever, what their roles are, and how this whole system is put together. Whether he took advantage of Tommy's son, right? So it's kind of like, that's a whole thing that he has to figure out and learn. So he deserves the money he made rather than being smart.
He said, "I saved your lifetime. I spared your life." It's like, you owe me.
Yeah, and I'm just.
And
the men respect each other, and that's interesting. The women don't have that, but the one side doesn't see how difficult it's for the other side. And I just don't see him being supportive at all right now. And I think that's what's pissing some people off about it because of how hard the men have, whether they're working in the fields or they're making a shit ton of money. You've said it yourself, and it's the best description of the show. This is one of the best shows that's showing how he's always got too much shit on his plate and having to deal with it day by day, right? So, I mean, look, I'm going to agree with you. I think this is a great episode. There's a lot of I think it's absolutely horrible and trash. I think it's the wrong decision. It's not done well at all. That being said, what's in here, there's a ton of A+. So it's a very talkable episode. It's still very watchable.
It's a mixed review.
It is, and I stand by it.
I'd say,
like you, I'm eagerly waiting for next Tuesday when we can talk about it.
I'd say you probably rate about a 4 out of 5, not a solid 5, but probably because you don't want to say average because there are a lot of good stuff here that weighs it out. So
yeah,
for me, I don't think it's a 5, but I do. I'm honestly, I did it because it was kind of weird. They had showing Rebecca, hooking up. It was kind of, but then I sat back and I realized everything in here is connected. You may not know it, but it is. But
generally, I think if you take that approach in all movies, as a viewer, the more you see it and take that approach, the more your eyes open up to just trivial lines of dialogue and all that. So you catch if something's inconsistent or not or whatever. So I think that's a really interesting observation on your point.
Yeah. That being
the final
said,
thoughts from you, sir?
Final thoughts. I'm looking to see more of Demi Moore and her reaction. Now because she's gonna have to have the conversation with Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Why this guy was being treated this way, and eventually Tommy's gonna have to have a conversation with her, really saying like this guy works for the cartel. That's why I don't trust him.
Right.
Because Tommy's been kind of avoiding that. Like I said, he avoids things, and it's he's gonna have that conversation with everything. I think the only one actually right now, all the women who really respects everything that the guys are going through is Demi Moore, because she sees firsthand what Monty was dealing with and all the bullshit.
I can see that. Yeah.
She
you know what?
stepped up her game.
I don't think we've seen the best of her in her role yet.
No, I think towards the end you're gonna because I love that speech she gives in that first or second episode.
Yep, they get you excited for what can come.
Yep, I honestly, and who knows though? But here's the thing about Landman. If it's anything like a Taylor Sheridan Solo Yellowstone, we're going to see a lot more characters introduced in the middle of seasons.
Well, this is actually having what I call the Twin Peaks effect, referencing a show from the late 80s, early 90s.
Revolving doors.
Kept getting bigger as people talked about it and watched it, like Miami Vice did the same thing in the 80s. It did okay, but then the more people watched it. So right now, this is actually more successful than the first season because people now have a season under their belt. They're into the second one, and we're getting the weekly releases that you and I talk about, because it's a fun show. I really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to it or whatever. I know I shit on a lot. I'm just giving an opinion, and I'm not mad, but it's that's why we do
you're
this,
entitled to
right?
your opinion. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't agree with everything I say, and that's the joy of being able to have your own opinion and not be shit on for it. But hey, it's a free country, and it's a capitalistic world, and this show is all about capitalism and the benefits and the negative side effects, because corporate greed, or just in general people who want to backstab you, and then dealing with broken home stuff. It's pretty much the American dream. When you seek the higher up wealth stuff, the higher you go up, the more miserable you are.
We do not get a chance to see the exercise in what it means to have the ability to come to America and deal in a system that can provide you what you think at the time you decide to make those decisions as freedom and money and all that. And it's kind of exciting. It's like an 80s revisited kind of mentality here, and I love it. Absolutely love the show.
Yep.
Good night now, everybody.
Guys, we'll see you on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Christmas in Connecticut. All right, later, guys. Bam.